Hello and welcome to the next video in the series of Idiot's Guides into Modding into Formula 1 2020. Today I'm going to talk about the racewear of the driver, i.e. his race suit, and how you find and use templates and how you mod those into the game. I'm going to do that first because obviously this is the last thing that doesn't have a 3D model. So I'll talk a little bit about what each area does because it's a little bit different from the pit crew stuff that we've done before, and get into making your drivers looking tip-top. Now, to do that, we need to go into our ERP archiver, the start point for pretty much everything we're doing here. And we need to go all the way back in because it's just kicked me all the way back out. Steam apps, common, F1 2020. We need to go into asset groups. We need to go into character package. We need to go into team livery. And we're going to use the one that I've used, which is, when I can find it, the RaceNet. So there are a few up here that you can use as well. You can use Senna, Prost. They all contain designs. You've got all the F2 designs in here as well for overalls. For race suits, you've got Ferrari and team designs. So if you want to base your design around something, so for example, if you wanted to make a Martini Racing Williams design, you would go into here and load it from here. But we're going to go into RaceNet. And there's only 2 files in here. So in here, we've got helmet designs, we've got livery designs, we've got various bits and pieces, but all we're interested in the livery. Now, here obviously we've got my own design. So here, all I've done to start off my design is I've exported, as we do before, export the standard RaceNet livery. Now, the RaceNet is a livery that you get in game. It's just a plain black with some sponsors. The other thing that I loaded from here, so if you're going to use a livery like RaceNet, it comes with its own logos. So you're going to have to also, not only the Delta and the November file you're going to have to export, but you're going to have to export the logo files as well. You're going to want to also export the cap designs, all 3 of them, the Delta, the November, and the Sierra, and also the Delta and November for the boots. So 3 sets of files in all: boots, livery, and cap, because they're what we're going to be designing on. We're also going to download the logo files, so not the glove logos, the logo files. And we're going to download all the various different bits and pieces that come with them, all the variants of files, and we're going to export them all. So you go ahead, you export those. And then, so we've got, so here they all are in mine. So we've got suit, race suit, ignore the gloves for the moment, cap, boots. So let me open the 3 main files. We want boots, and we want cap. And for the moment, I'll open gloves as well while I think about it, but we'll talk about those in a minute. So the race suit is a little bit different to the pit crew ones that we've done. It's kind of similar though, in essence. So mine, as I say, comes from the RaceNet suit. So you've got the stitching in here, and all I've done is I've colored it black, changed the striping patterns, and it doesn't have to be neat because it's going to look on fabric anyway, and added various details in. Now on here, because this is a set of overalls that in the game doesn't apply the fake sponsors or your game badge to it because it's a set livery, and this is why I've used this livery. So in this, unlike everything else, we've got our little badge here. You have to put that in. The sponsors we've got here, they do not have to match what you've got on your car. You can do it for preference, and nothing on here will change. So if you change your sponsors on your car, normally in the My Team mode, your sponsors will automatically change depending on your car. The annoying thing with that is, for example, if like Mercedes have now gone black, so all of their sponsors are lighter colours. If they were to have kept the normal race suits, however, the grey ones, the game would have automatically put white sponsors on a grey background. There is nothing that you can do with that. You can't change your sponsors. They will match what is on your car. This is why in mine I have changed the colours in here, because the sponsors on the car can be whatever colour I wish them to be. They don't have to match here, but it's something to bear in mind that you may have to. If you want realism and you change sponsors, you want your actual sponsors you've got in game on here, you'll have to come back and you'll have to edit them later. You'll also notice as well that I've got Highland, I've got Zanzare, Zenon, Equinox, Sudo, I can never pronounce this particular sponsor, Slingshot, Akita, I've got much more than 5 of the fake in-game sponsors on here, which is the maximum. I've gone for a more realistic output to the team in terms of many more teams have more sponsors. Now, similar to the layout on the pit crews, so you've got the panels here, you've got this, and you've got a divide there, and you've also got this little box at the bottom. So you've got the main panel of the race suit. You've also got the cuffs at the bottom of the overalls all the way along the bottom, and you've got this that then meets in the middle. So on these overalls, this actually meets in the middle with this side, and it looks like a big shape, so it's kind of out here somewhere, and that is the main portion of your race suit. You've then got the sleeves. So this sleeve here, the top one, again, as always, is pointing downwards. So this is the cuff, this is the shoulder, this is the left-hand shoulder. So this red stripe matches this red stripe. This, again, pointing down, cuff at the bottom, shoulder at the top, is the right hand. In fact, I'm getting my sides mixed up. Right hand, left hand. In fact, let's do that to alleviate my own confusion. And this matches this side stripe here. This little piece here is the collar of the suit. So i.e. the Velcro strap. Now, I did tinker with putting wording on it, and I put wording here. I put Sparko here. That actually puts it at the back, right in the center. So I need to tinker around with it, but it would appear from my initial tinkerings that if you want to put a design on there, you have to do half and half, because actually it meets in the middle round here. Hence why I've not bothered. But that is the race suit design itself. Now, in terms of the November file, the Sierra files and November files, I've not changed anything other than where, if we open this up, other than where there would be sponsors. So if there are sponsors on the suit already that are slightly different colours, so we've seen before that they normally colour them in orange or a slightly different colour, you can just get rid of them. Just copy, use, for example, use the paint dropper tool, copy that colour and just paint out a similar colour, just to make sure that anything that is on this or on the November file doesn't then bleed through. We'll see a good example of that in a moment. So that is the race suit done. We then move on to the boots. So here's the boots folder. Now the boots are fairly straightforward. So all I've done here is I've pinched the RaceNet boots. I've still left the RaceNet badges in there, and I've left this in here as well. That isn't actually on my in-game version. I don't know why it's saved slightly differently, but it's a good show of exactly what is what can happen. So black that out. So this I've just matched. So again, you've got your individual boots, and they're just wraparounds. So just wraparound design. So here is the back end of the boot that matches in the middle. So if you wanted writing on the back of the boot, it would have to be there and there. Same for here, it would have to be there, and it would have to be there. And then it just wraps around with a little bit at the bottom, which is your sole. So in essence, your shoes look like something along the lines of that in a bad art attack moment. Same again, if you want to put in design. So I've copied across an Alpine Stars design from, I believe it was Renault's texture pack to put on the shoes. That is fairly straightforward. Same again with the Sierras and the November files, just color out whatever matches to get rid of it, because otherwise where this symbol was here, that would be indented or shiny on your boots. It would still be there, but the same color. It would look strange. So we get rid of that. Then we move on to the cap. So what we've got is there's a few panels here, and I've not really helped it by coloring it all black, but we've basically got, so here we've got the top peak of the cap, and that then goes with this, and I'll call that low. So this is the peak on your cap. You've then got the design for the rear of your cap, so the very back of the cap is here. You've then got the side panels, which are here, and the front panel, which is here. So that's what your hat looks like. The easiest way to do that is literally just copy through what you want from a different hat. I think I used, off the top of my head, I think I used the Cyber hat again and just pinched theirs and just put some fake sponsors in here, put the team branding on there. Now, what you can't see, because obviously the way that I've coloured this in, is quite a lot of this space is redundancy. So there's a lot of stuff in here that is like, well, what is all this area here? Quite a lot of it won't matter. It's just the way the game tries to maximize space on a flat image by squashing it all in. It's part of the coding to then how it then applies each part, but that's what each part does. So again, we'll come out of that. So once we've done all of that, so once we've taken out the relevant the different colors from all the relevant different files, we go back into our FOM file, our RaceNet file, and then we load them in RaceNet Boots Delta and November. You can see here where there's slightly different areas where I've taken out the RaceNet branding. You've got the cap November, and you can see there where I've left that in. So that does translate through into the game. That's something I will need to address later. But that's what I mean by having to blank stuff out. And the cap, you then also need to load in the livery file and the livery November file. Now, one thing of note, and I said this with the racewear, if you decide that you're going to use race overalls from something other than the one that you're using, so say we use Red Bull, and we want to load them to AlphaTauri, for example, or we would have to take the image file and also the November file, so these textures match. Otherwise, the game doesn't like it. Now, again, we file, save once we've done that. However, we also then need to go into the other one. Now, we've only got two here, so we've got RaceNet gloves. Don't be fooled by the names. Where you've got, in fact, let me go into one that has three, just to show you. So let us go into this. So Common 04. I don't know what this design is. You've got Common 04 gloves and helmet. Now, they don't mean gloves and helmet. One of these files governs what it looks like in the menus, in the in-game menus when you select it. One of them governs cutscenes. One of them governs how you appear in the game. So what you do to one, you must do to another. If you don't, in all the folders, so in ours, in our RaceNet one, we've only got two. What you do to one, you must do to the other file. Otherwise, your game will break. It will not like it. It will hang in loading screens. It will just not render stuff. You'll confuse it entirely. So once we've loaded those into there, we also go into this one and we find exactly the same files. So the boots file and the November file, the cap files, and also the livery files. Now see here where it's got could not create preview. Now I know it's currently working. In fact, let me close the game while I do that, otherwise it will throw a wobbly. There we go. So I need to then go into my race suit and kit, find my dragon race suit and save it. And then it will come up here. If you've got like a texture mismatch, if you've got text up here, it means that one of these files somewhere is missing its texture. And then you save it. and you save it as that, and it will overwrite. So that's that now in the game. Now, I'd also mentioned something about logos as well. So the RaceNet overalls have black writing in various places. Now, you can leave it in there. I did toy with the idea of leaving it in there. But how you can address that is you load these, and we'll ignore this for now because there's a reason why it says here could not create preview. Because when you take your livery, so if you look here, you can see here where I've got the black writing, you can see here where I've got various different things where I've tinkered with. And then I've got these two files here. And then the base livery. So these are all like the base designs for what I've tinkered with. These are then blank, so they're black and white, but in essence I've made them completely redundant, completely transparent with nothing on them, and loaded these two back into the game. And I do that in the logo and logo end files. So the game now knows that there are stuff there to load, but there isn't actually anything there, and there are no parameters for it, so it won't put your writing on the overalls. So what you see in your Delta file is what you get. So let's close that. Let's go back into Photoshop, and here is my glove design. So let's talk about this and what each part does. So you've got here your panel for your hand, you've got here your inside panel for your hand, you've got the insides for the relevant different fingers and your thumb, and you've also got the inside of your thumb. Also here is what the thumb looks like from the front. I think it's the thumb that looks like from the front, but that's your design. So you've got all your relevant bits and pieces. Again, you need to download, if there are November files, if there are various different files, you need those as well. And so we're going to go back into my archiver. We're going to go back into, we're not going to do RaceNet this time. We are going to go to Epic 4. No, we're not. We're going to go to Epic 3. No, we're not. We'll find out which one it is in a minute. Epic 2. Here we go. So, those that have played the game, they'll know this livery. This is basically a cosmic livery that's in the game. There's a helmet wing. It's basically a star's design. Now, the reason I haven't loaded the gloves into the RaceNet overalls is because the way you select the gloves in game, they're not part of the overalls. So not like the shoes and the cap and everything else that's governed by your racing overalls. They are governed by you simply selecting them in game. Now the RaceNet gloves suffer the same problem as the overalls, is that they will have their own branding over there, and it's a little bit more tricky to try and get rid of them. I found after a lot of tinkering, doing the same trick that I've used for the overalls doesn't seem to work as well. So in here you need to get your glove Delta, you ignore this one, your glove November file, and your glove Sierra file. So you copy all those, you export these three, then you do your custom design and you load them in to each. Now again, you don't have to use the same design, but if there's, for example, some gloves have patterns on the inside of the hands and texturing, make sure you transfer them into match, otherwise it will look strange. So you go and you save. You need to do that to everyone, and here we've got 3. So in each of these, we go into Epic Glove 02, again, we're loaded. If we go into Epic Helmet, again, we're loaded. So that's what you need to do, file, save. So that is those textures now loaded into the game. So let's get rid of that. Now I know I just closed it a moment ago, but I'm going to load back into Formula 1, and there was a reason I closed it, because when I'm changing game files, you don't want to have the game open when you're doing this. The game will not like it. It will throw a massive panic attack because you're fiddling with game files when you shouldn't be. It really, really dislikes it. So skip through all the bits and pieces. Press any button, and now let's scroll to let us go all the way to customization. We go to characters and we go to edit. Now you'll see there's the overalls in the game, but the way you find them is you go to your race suit. So as you can see at the top in the left here is it says RaceNet, because they are the RaceNet overalls. I've just told the game they are completely different. So that is what they look like in game. Now you'll notice as well, if the game is throwing a wobbly in terms of textures, when you're in this screen, all of these other coveralls will not render properly. It's how you know you need to go back out of the game and check there isn't one of those files that hasn't loaded properly. It's one of the ways the game just thinks, what the hell's going on? So that's how you select that. We then go into gloves. Now you'll notice that we've got a Pacifico badge on here. That's simple to explain because if I go to car liveries and if I create a new car livery for the moment, select, we'll do that, and then if I select that as my everything car, and this time if we go into characters, yeah, it's removed all the bits and pieces. So if we now go into the gloves, we'll see now the Pacifico's gone. It's just because that's the car that's set. It's sponsored by Pacifico. The game automatically puts it in. But the gloves themselves will look like that. So we've got the branding on the glove. We've got everything in there, and those, as you'll see, are the Cosmos gloves, which is that Epic O2 that we've used. So they are now in the game as well. So I'm going to exit out of that. I'm going to leave it there for this video, and the next video I will be talking about custom helmet design. We'll be using a 3D model in order to do it, to help explain, and also with the car as well. That'll be the very last video I do, just because there's a bit more involved in terms of that. But if you've enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, please give it a like, please give it a subscribe. I'm literally doing this because I couldn't find guides to explain anything else as in depth as this myself. And hopefully, if this saves you a bit of time, then I've done my piece. You will see on the screen a link to my channel. You will see a link to the playlist of videos that I'm going to create for this, and you'll also see a link to the very first video, the one that talks about the bits and pieces that you need to do this in the first place, the archivers, the photo software. For now, I will bid you farewell. This has been Rickardin, and I'll see you in the next video.